You're using your degree, your pomp, your money almost to buy sex that night. You're using a human being's body, a woman's body, to satiate your lust. And now you're using me.
Love sounds like fun. This sounds like work.
If marriage is another name for long-term commitment, what exactly have you seen there worth committing yourself to? And then, so that we may not be ashamed of what we have done, we say marriages are made in heaven.
The last session was really deep, and I have a confession. I asked you here because there was something really important that I wanted to talk about. And the night after the sex, when we got up, there was a word in the air. It was a scary word, at least for me. It's also a very common word. And that word was marriage. And part of why I wanted this chat with you was because I knew this video would get published and it would kind of prevent that word from taking place. And then at the same time, there's also part of me that says, so what? Everyone else does that, so.
So you've used me.
Same center. Once it's a woman, once it's a man.
Not really the same center. In fact, it's a good lesson here. You're using your degree, your pomp, your money almost to buy sex that night. You're using a human being's body, a woman's body, to satiate your lust. And now you're using me. You made a choice that day, that night, by using one person. And now you are making another choice to use another person to reverse the previous choice, or at least to prevent the fruit of the previous choice from materializing. To me, that tells us something very important about choices. If life is a series of choices, as we said a while back, then each successive choice has to be made in a way that it corrects the follies of the previous choice. Because obviously no choice is perfect. You have a range of options to choose from. We rarely ever choose the highest because we do not even know that there does exist a highest option to choose. So we make some in-between kind of choice. And then there comes the opportunity to make the next choice. The next choice has to be made to better the previous one. Are you getting it? Which means that choices often, or probably always, have to be an act of negation. You have to choose to negate what you have already chosen. Because what you have chosen is rarely good enough and almost never the highest. I do not know whether you would go ahead with the relationship. I do not know whether you would proceed with the marriage or whatever. That's for two free adults to decide. But surely I can say a thing or two about the right kind of company, the right choice, the right center, the right union. It's bad enough to fall for a suboptimal thing. That thing could be money, a car, or even a person. Excuse me for calling a person a thing, but when you are using a person, the person indeed is a thing for you.
Yeah.
The first folly is that you make a suboptimal choice. That's what we all do. And then, to top it, we consolidate that choice. We cement it and we fortify it. We make it irreversible. That's why this word is a very important word. Marriage. You're telling yourself that you're making a choice that is almost irreversible. Are you so sure? What are you committing yourself to? Not that sureness is not achievable, not that commitment is in itself a problem, but what exactly are you committing yourself to? If marriage is another name for long-term commitment, what exactly have you seen there worth committing yourself to? Have you seen anything at all? Are your eyes even open? And you say you are entering a long-term thing, commitment, contract, relationship, call it what you may. But it's a fad. Everybody does it, so will I. And then, so that we may not be ashamed of what we have done, we say marriages are made in heaven. It's interesting how a part of us, instead of correcting ourselves, wants to continue the flawed and fallen self. We need to be extremely cautious. We are born with an inbuilt enemy. And almost everything that we do just to feed our own enemy. It's almost like having a disease and eating the type of food that furthers the disease. That's how we live. We are born with a center of disease within us, and then we live and decide and choose in a way that results in growth of the disease. Most of that which we call as growth in life is nothing but the growth of the disease within us. The tumor is growing. And we say, wow, this year was an year of growth. And nobody asks, of what? Yes, there has been a lot of growth. 17.4% growth. Sir, of what?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? if somehow I could have a similar discussion with the lady in question, her story, her description, her feelings would almost mirror those of yours. You said the word marriage was floating in the air. It was floating in the air for both of you. Do consider the possibility that a part of herself is equally averse to the marriage word as you are right now. Do consider the possibility that when she was not paying up at the restaurant, or when she was acting the way she did on the Valentine's Day, a part of her knew the rottenness of it all. And she still continued with what she was doing, just as you continued with what you were doing in spite of knowing that all this is just rotten. So I wish the lady were here, and now that there is so much clarity, I hope, and the video is going to be published. If the next time you could request her to come over and participate in this discussion, the truth would shine even more brightly. Because one human being's story is not very different from the story of the other. At some place we are all victims of ignorance and Maya, and we all operate from a false center, albeit in our personal ways. You are operating from a false center in the man's way, and she is operating from a false center in the woman's way.
And this false center is the conditioning we're born with and we acquire from outside.
Yeah. Do not be surprised if she says that she is massively relieved that the M word is out of the equation now. And a part of her might disagree, a part of her might have been quite happy and eager to hitch up. Which wolf to feed? If you could answer that rightly, we would be winners in life.
But it seems like wherever I've gone, India, the US, Europe, it seems like marriage is just thrust down your throat that this is what you aspire to, whether you're a man or a woman.
When you say that, you almost say that there are things that are not thrust down your throat. In singularly picking up marriage, why are you exonerating all other institutions? Has your institution not been, has your education, institutional education, not been rammed down your throat? Right? Is it not a matter of common desire to have a high-paying job? And if it's a common and shared desire, how is it truly yours? So just as we get educated in the common way, just as we have our our fashion choices, our sartorial choices, our food and dietary choices in the common way. Similarly, when we turn 28 or 30, we choose what is commonly done, marriage. And obviously it doesn't stop there. Then you make the next common choice as well, which is to have a decent and cozy house to lay eggs in. And then you have kids, and then you do what is commonly done. And I want to ask, how much of the individual, the true self, is there in any of this? In the sense that had you not been told that there is something called an MBA, would you have still cried aloud for it? In the sense that if nobody tells you there is something called water, you'd still be thirsty, right? Society doesn't need to tell you that you need water. Your biology will tell you need water. So biology is deeper than society. Now, is there something deeper than even society and biology, which even biology need not suggest to you? Okay, I'll give you an example. Can love be taught? Can compassion be taught? The right conditions can be created for love to manifest itself. But love by itself cannot be a taught act. Mostly for us it is a taught act. Our definitions of love, our images of love, they are all imported and imbibed images. But it is possible, at least theoretically, that even if nobody tells you what true love is, you still do come upon it. The chances are 1 in a million, but still can happen.
And by true love, you mean the aspiration to raise rather than...
The aspiration to rise.
So maybe this is a smart aleck question, but didn't you read that somewhere, or didn't you learn that from somewhere?
I had to unlearn a lot of things, seriously. I had to unlearn a lot of things, and I'm grateful to all the sources, the books, the people, and the experiences that helped me unlearn. And I'm helpful to that within me that had the courage to unlearn. I'm thankful to everybody, including that within me that powered the courage. A lot of unlearning is needed. I often say you need to learn love. By that what I mean is that you need to unlearn false love. And it's one mighty task to unlearn false love.
And by false love, you mean the transactional love?
The transactional love that both biology and society teach you. Society tells you go for the one who has degrees, this, that, money. Biology tells you go for the one who is likely to be more fertile in the reproductive sense, right? So you have to unlearn both of these, you have to defeat both of these, and it's then that true love happens. And that's the entire purpose of life, is it not? To fall in true love and rise.
Say most, if not all, of the stuff that I learned, or that's portrayed in the media, movies, is just perpetuating this cycle of false love. if I were to offer this to maybe someone outside of our conversation, he or she might just not even get it. That what is this true love that you claim to be talking about? I guess I feel that it's such a daunting task.
Internally, it is the urge of your consciousness to rise and dissolve. Externally, it is relationship that uplifts both of you. So, saints, seers, they sang of love. They were talking of the internal love. Your mind wants to come to a final peace. Your mind wants to rise to a final peace. This ascension they would call as their love affair with the sky. There's the mind at this level, and the mind must rise up to that level to come to a peace. And in rising to that level, the mind just sublimates. Very little of it is left. But that's at an abstract level. Externally, true love is about being with someone for the right reason. That someone is anybody who is either helping you be better or is getting helped to be better. I know it sounds quite dry, it sounds very transactional, but that's the limitation of words. When I say true love involves betterment, we have such dry images of betterment that we just cannot associate love with betterment. Love to us has to be something colorful, musical, vibrant, whereas betterment is almost a doer, a very tasteless word.
Yeah. Love sounds like fun. This sounds like work.
Betterment sounds like work, love sounds like fun. And to be honest, love is serious, hard work. Love is not really fun. You need to learn to have fun in hard work. And that's love. In love, you start loving the hard work and the hardship that comes your way.
Hard work, hardship, and the benefit is more peace.
The benefit is that you are not left what you are. Not that you are not left with what you have. You are not left as what you are.
By not left as what you are, is that reference to the forces of conditioning, the blind navigating through life?
To see the life and the importance in that sentence, to not to be left as one is. One first has to see how upset and how miserable one is internally, and how beautiful is one's potential. You have to see these two things concurrently. What have I made of myself and what I can potentially be? To see what you have made of yourself, you need to be in touch with the facts of your life very, very honestly. You need mirrors around you. And to see what you potentially can be, you require some seriously good company. If you don't get that company in a human form, then you need company of books. You need to see how human beings so much similar to you have been in the past able to transcend their limitations and live lives extremely extraordinary. And when you know these two at once and you juxtapose these two against each other, that's when a great dissatisfaction arises within you. Love is very closely related to that great dissatisfaction. You just cannot summon the will to love the peaks unless you realize how badly you are down in the dumps and how it stinks there. Both these things the ego abhors. It won't want to admit that it's down in the dumps, and it does not want to take up the effort of the laborious, long-winded, steep climb to the peak. So we remain loveless and comfortably spend an entire lifetime without any real love. All we have to do is not admit, not acknowledge the lovelessness in our lives. Self-deception is cool, facile. Then there are, deceptions of all kind. You might know in theory what we have talked about over the last 2 hours, because it is not something new. It has been spoken of again and again by the wise men over the ages. So you know all these things. You know, for example, that the person you sleep with must be a person who uplifts your consciousness. So what do? You play a dirty and an easy trick upon yourself, knowing fully well that the primary reason for this togetherness is either ignorance or lust. You still tell yourself and the entire world that your husband or wife is your biggest inspiration in the journey of life. And if you are interviewed, you say, I couldn't have done what I have done without my wife at my back.
Yeah.
So it appears to everybody, and probably even to yourself, that you are in the right kind of relationship. All you have to do is proclaim, declare. Who who will be able to unearth the truth? Only you really know what's going on in your life, don't you? And the wife has to say, oh, I'm so lucky. I had such a great husband. He always encouraged me to rise and shine. And when you say these things, then you feel satisfied that you have ticked another box.
No.
What is the fact of relationship? That only you know. We are masters at this one thing, self-deception.
So it sounds like the word that scared me, marriage, is basically just the form that physical nature takes to keep itself going. And we've helped it by coming up with songs and movies and chocolates and apps.
Actually, physical nature is not all that vicious. It didn't intend to do us so much harm. If you look at the physical, the animal world, there the male and the female are together for a while. Their biological urges bring them together in the period of mating. And then nature excuses you. Once that mating period is over, Prakriti says, now the two of you can fly your own way. What man has is a double whammy. Biological forces bring us together, and social forces keep us together. In the case of animals, there is only the biological force. It brings them together, they mate, they stay together for a week, for a month, for 3 months, and then they're off.
But isn't the human child different in that it's very vulnerable? It can't be left on its own and it needs
love,
nurturance and physical support.
It needs love. Without love, what kind of nutrition or support can you give? So first of all, the human child needs love. And if the relationship between the human male and the human female itself is not of true love, what kind of upbringing are you going to give to the child born as a result of this relationship?
Sounds like we'll just perpetuate the old cycle. So what's coming up for me is that this is such a revelation. My eyes are opened and just wondering, why is this knowledge not more widely known or taught?
Because our bodies neither want this knowledge nor would allow this knowledge to be common. It's against the interest of Prakriti for this knowledge to be widespread. Prakriti wants us to breed like rabbits. And if you are someone who understands life and self and love, you won't oblige Prakriti. You won't breed like rabbits. You won't dedicate your life to the wrong center. So there is something within us that opposes, rather militates against true knowledge. And that's the reason why my favorite scriptures, the Upanishads, are so rarely read. I keep talking of them, I teach them, I run courses on them. My purpose is to bring them to people, but we would read fiction, we would read this, that. Even in the name of spiritual literature, we would read garbage. And the market is full of garbage in the name of spiritual books. But we would not go to the kind of knowledge that really sets us free.
it seems like, at least to me, this is one of the worst things in the world, that garbage is being touted as spiritual knowledge or belief, and that people doing really stupid things thinking that they're doing it in peace and love and compassion.
Most of what we call as spiritual literature, or what we call as spiritual understanding, all this peace, love, compassion business, and the meditation thing, as they are prevalent today, are extremely stupid. And that's the reason they do very little to alleviate our inner suffering. They just become convenient painkillers, or we want to be anesthetized.
Yeah. Seems like when I came across you in Rishikesh, a lot of people come there to be anesthetized for a little bit and then go back. There's stuff that doesn't make sense, like crystals and reading charts and all sorts of what I consider nonsense.
Crystals and cards and so many other things in the name of spirituality. Yeah. And we become spiritual, and we continue to remain as we are.
Ignorant of what's really.
Ignorant and loveless. Loveless.
So I started off wanting this video to be published because I didn't want to get married. And now I still want this video to get published, just in the hope that what you've shared that might impact and reach other people and save them from marriage and other things.
See, it's not as if people need to be saved from marriage. People need to be saved from themselves. If marriage is companionship, there is a possibility that there can be a great marriage. If marriage is just another name for great companionship, it is wonderful. But then we do not know the right company. And that's the reason why marriage is often, almost always, the hell that it is. So it's not one particular institution people need to be saved from. If one has understanding, if one has love, then one could be possibly beautifully married. But then the occurrence of understanding and love in an individual is just so rare. Therefore, good marriages are equally rare. What happens most of the times is that an individual, if he or she has understanding, wisdom, love, mostly sees no need to marry then.
Yeah.
But in case such a person does decide to marry, the marriage would be beautiful. So it's not the institution that's to be castigated. We're talking of the individual, the center we operate from, the center we choose from. Since we choose wrongly in everything, therefore we choose wrongly even in matters of marital union or sexual union.
It sounds like having the intent to educate the center is very important.
Yes, the intent to uplift the very center you come from, the courage to admit that you are operating way below your potential, and the thirst to rise, that has to be there.
What's scary, or at least what sounds scary as I listen to you, is that if I've really listened, I've got to change how I live. And that doesn't sound very pleasant.
That doesn't sound very comfortable because it involves work. The principle in Prakriti is take the route of least effort. If you can get it without expending yourself too much, why bother? Why bother? So that's the reason why the animal world does not have very deep codes of ethics. The larger animal will simply extract from the smaller animal what it needs. Within the same species, animals bully each other. The little rabbit has the carrot. The bigger rabbit comes and snatches it.
And in some way, human children are like that till they're trained.
So we want it using the minimum effort possible. Why do I need to go and dig out a fresh carrot for myself? Here is the carrot and here is the smaller rabbit. All I need to do is bully it. I bully it, I get the carrot.
Yeah.
So we are designed to take the route of the least effort. Spiritual elevation, inner growth is some serious hard work. Therefore the ego resists it. But then the fruits are beyond one's imagination. So I would recommend you go for it.
And when you talk of these fruits, I just want to, a lot of people tout seemingly magical and mystical things as the fruits, and my sense is that you're suggesting something.
You won't start leviating.
Yeah.
You won't start walking on water. You won't get paranormal powers.
Yeah, that seems to be the common
No.
belief.
That's not spiritual attainment. In fact, in spiritual attainment, you drop your fancy for any such thing. When you're not spiritually evolved, that's when you have a fancy for paranormal powers. That's when you want to have the power to just think and heal somebody in the next continent. So once you are spiritually evolved, you drop all this nonsense. Anybody who says that he has these kinds of powers or wants these kinds of powers is just displaying a proof of his spiritual bankruptcy.
Yeah, and again, the cruel irony seems to be that the people with the fame and the following all espouse this type of unscientific superstition.
Because that's what, when in a loveless society, the most loveless one will be the leader, including the spiritual leader. In a society centered on ignorance, the most ignorant one, the most blatantly ignorant one will be the spiritual leader.
Makes sense when you put it that way.
If ignorance is your center, who's going to be the topmost one? The most ignorant one? The one who is not merely ignorant, but is so shamelessly and arrogantly ignorant that he wants to propagate ignorance. He is going to be the topmost spiritual guru.
So I know we've talked a lot and it's getting late. But if I can ask just one last question, which is, how do I and others do our bit to move towards true love?
We talked of it, right? It's an exercise in negation.
Right.
You'll have to very dispassionately look at the choices you are living right now.
Yeah.
And you'll have to negate those choices by making better choices.
Right.
But you cannot have any betterment without very honest, very sharp, very penetrative self-consciousness. You need to know what is really going on, and you must have the guts to admit what is going on.
Yeah. So as they say, simple but not easy.
Simple but not easy, because we are accustomed to the complex.
Yeah. So, you give me a lot to think about. I will go back and sleep alone and ponder over this. And
in case you decide in the coming few days or weeks that this video need not be published, do not hesitate to let me know.
I don't think that will happen, but I appreciate your offer. I want it to go viral. As you know, I was in the US for the last 20 years. I came back about a year ago. I've just been stuck in India since then. There have been lots of experiences over here that are so different from what I experienced in the US. I downloaded some of these online apps to meet women, and so I planned a nice, expensive restaurant. The waiter said loudly, "So it's declined again." I kind of felt embarrassed asking her, like, I think I wanted to show that I didn't need her help or something.
You feel disturbed about what the lady did, or you feel disturbed about yourself. What kind of empowerment is this that happily accepts dependence on somebody else's money on a date and also for an entire lifetime? She thought she was dating a man. You're not a man. We are a script. The possibility of love opens up outside the script.
And then as soon as we finished having sex, I noticed I just wanted nothing to do with her. And I noticed in the morning, lonely and a little aloof as well.
Sex is one of the strongest drives and energies in our lives. So it represents our values all the more. The person you choose to bear your body to is the person that best reflects what you value in life. How long lasting is the sexual pleasure? What does it leave you with? It leaves you with the need to get a shower, and it leaves you with a stained bed sheet. Whereas if you spend a day with the right person, a day and a night, then you are left with something that might last your lifetime. No? True love always involves three: you, me, and the sky.
I think I'll change my dating profile to say looking for a threesome with you, me, and the sky.
You're using your degree, your pomp, your money almost to buy sex that night. You're using a human being's body, a woman's body, to satiate your lust. And now you're using me.
Love sounds like fun. This sounds like work.
If marriage is another name for long-term commitment, what exactly have you seen there worth committing yourself to? And then, so that we may not be ashamed of what we have done, we say marriages are made in heaven.